Hi everyone, it's Diana Newen here from Trinity Health and Living. I hope you've all been well. Today the video is going to be a bit different to some of the other videos that I've done in terms of it not really having that big of a spiritual bent to it. It's more of just something that I've observed in a couple of my clients over the last few weeks, and I just kind of wanted to chat about it a little bit. And especially it'll concern those who have kind of like figured out that what they're currently doing in their life is not necessarily fulfilling for them, and they've decided that perhaps part of their purpose in life is to actually go into a spiritual business, or for example doing healings on people and all that sort of stuff. And so a real common thing, a common theme that I actually get from my clients is this feeling of now knowing where they want to go forward in life and what they want to do, but feeling quite stuck in terms of what to do to actually get there. A lot of people, once you kind of figure out, what your purpose in life is and where you want to go, will tend to want to rush to get there really quickly. And that kind of then puts them at a bit of unease and dissatisfied with the current position in which they're in. So, for example, I used to be a lawyer for 10 years, and I worked predominantly in like corporate law and intellectual property law. But when I actually had found my calling, if that's what you want to say in life, it then kind of made my law career and what I was doing as a lawyer at the time really boring and mundane. I didn't really want to do it because it was so exciting to think about what the future possibility was in terms of what I would be doing from a spiritual healing perspective. And I really wanted to get to that point really, really quickly, but kind of knew that I actually had to walk before I ran, before I jump, sort of thing. And the time that it would take, or the amount of effort that it will take to actually get from A to B, was in some ways a bit of a drag, and made me lose a lot of motivation in my legal job, for example. Because at that stage, at that point in time, I decided that I was actually going to become a remedial massage therapist and specialize in biodynamic craniosacral therapy. And actually, the healing, the spiritual healing had nothing to do with it. The energy opened up after I'd made that decision, but that wasn't the main decision, the main area where I thought I was actually going to be going. So that will give you a little bit of a hint in terms of you might feel like you actually want to really jump ahead and do what it is that your heart is calling for. But just know that a lot of the times it's just a step in that direction. And so instead of trying to get there really quickly and think that that's actually the be all and the end all, see it as the beginning of your journey, because things will most likely evolve and change as you embark on that journey. So actually where you end up being will be very different to what you had thought that you were going to do in the first place. Like I said, I thought I was going to become a remedial massage therapist, and that was pretty much it. And now I've just gone directly, I've done all the training there, but realized that actually my real calling is being a shamanic practitioner and working with people from that spiritual perspective, that soul perspective. And as you can tell, it's really different to what I had thought about in the first place. But I'm kind of skipping ahead here, so I'm going to just rewind back in terms of when you make that decision, or like when you just know in your heart that what you're currently doing is actually really not what you're supposed to be doing, right? So the first couple of things I'd say is, okay, it's great that you've made that realization. Awesome. But just know that it's not going to be as easy as changing from one to the other. You're going to most likely have to have some training, which will involve a bit of money in order to transition from whatever it is that you were doing to what you want to do. And this doesn't just apply in terms of transitioning from corporate to non-corporate, but it can apply from a particular role in corporate to another role in corporate, right? It's just transitions in general. So I get that you feel really unmotivated and you really don't want to go to work because you're like, oh my God, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And, you know, I want to focus on doing what I really want to do. But just know that in practical terms, there's going to be a little bit of time. And in some ways, like, there will be a little bit of planning in order to get from A to B. And what my advice to my friends and my clients in that situation is, and this was an advice I received actually, because I was in the exact position there that I just wanted to leave. It's don't view your current job as a big drain on you and, you know, stopping you from getting to where you want to be. View it as a source of income, you know, which will actually enable you to get to where you want to be. You know, like I was saying, all of those educational training programs, which will cost some money. Your current job and the income that you get through will actually be the basis for you to be able to do that. So in some ways, it's like almost changing your perspective from your current job being a hindrance to your job actually being an enabler for you to get from A to B. And so when you can shift your perception about that, it actually makes the job a lot easier. You know, you end up not really caring. Well, that's me. But just knowing that you're there, you'll do what you need to do. You won't really necessarily go over and above that. And you know that you're actually getting a nice paycheck, which will help you move on. The other thing I'd say is, if you can, consider going from, like, if you're transitioning from full-time employment into, you know, a full-time business, for example, make a gradual transition to it, because a business takes time to grow. It takes years to grow. And for me, you know, I'm in my 4th year and it's still growing, you know. So make sure you kind of have, from a practical perspective, some savings to kind of back you up over the next couple of years as you continue to transition over and do your studies. And then consider going from full-time employment or full-time work or whatever it is down to part-time. So at least you're still getting some income whilst you're trying to build up the other side. And that might actually help you. So in my case, you know, fortunate as a lawyer to have been earning quite a good salary. So I went from full-time employee down to a contractor, and I just worked 3 days a week, and then the other 2 days I spent studying my diploma of remedial massage. And then I ended up being able to extend my contract for another 6 months. And during that time, again, I was slowly beginning to set up my business and build it up and all that sort of stuff. And then my contract ended, which then was perfect for me to go into, you know, doing my remedial massage, which, you know, I kind of had set up my home business, but in order to get experience and a bit more confident in terms of doing the massage, I actually contracted out to a company which was already established in terms of massage services. So I just was one of the therapists that started to work for them. So that began to, you know, help build up the skills a little bit. You know, got a little bit of income, but again, it was so different to what I was getting as a lawyer, but I at least had my savings to be able to help me get through. So, and then eventually, you know, I'm at the stage where I am now, where I do have, you know, an established set of clientele and people are still coming, like new clients are coming to see me and all that kind of stuff, but it does take time. And yeah, you gotta think and plan about it. It's whether, you know, in Australia we have the concept of sole trader, so whether you want to be a sole trader, and which means you need to get an Australian business number in order to trade. So that's for taxation purposes and all that sort of stuff. So knowing how to do that, and knowing, you know, how much it costs and whether any other licenses will be required, look into the concept of any insurances that you might need to get, the list kind of goes on in terms of like, do you want a website? Are you going to pay someone to do your website? Do you have the skills to be able to do your own website in the beginning? And, what's your name going to be? You're going to have a logo, all that sort of stuff. All these things you will need to think about if you actually want to move from one job to another. And in this instance, to be honest, it's really more so moving from corporate into owning your own business. So yeah, I was very fortunate that, when I actually studied in university doing my law degree, I actually did a computer science degree at the same time because it was a requirement to do a double degree for law. So I actually had the computer skills. So the website that I have, I did it. And I mean, I didn't do it. I use WordPress. Thankfully, I have a friend who knows about hosting, so he's hosting my website. But I know how to code websites, and so there's certain little tweaks that I could do that someone who didn't know how to do couldn't. And then, so it's important to be a little bit tech savvy. And in the beginning, obviously, as you're trying to save some money and all that kind of stuff, ask your network, see who can help you, just give you some tips about what to do and all that sort of stuff. But I'm kind of digressing here, so I'm going to move back onto the whole topic about transitioning and that kind of shift in mindset sort of thing. So just remember that, so even if you've decided to transition and you kind of think, oh my God, I've just wasted X amount of years or X amount of time doing this particular thing that I absolutely hate, just know that there was a reason why you did it. And it might not be apparent to you at this point in time. But by going through what you've already gone through, you've developed certain skills and experience that I'm pretty sure will actually be quite useful for you when you decide to make your transition. So if I go back to my example about how I did it, my computer science degree and working in a tech company actually helped me do the tech side of the business. And also in my position as a lawyer working in-house for a company, I really got to understand how businesses work, and I knew what the business requirements were from a legal perspective. And so that has also helped me move over to this as well. So I don't regret doing 10 years of law and studying 5 years in order to get my degree. But yeah, just kind of know that everything happens for a reason. And even though at this point in time, when you're in the middle of it, you don't think that, or you think that what you've done is a complete waste of time, it isn't. You can't see it at this point in time, but I guarantee you in the future, you'll turn back and you'll be quite grateful for the experience that you've gone through, because you've gained certain knowledge and skills that you wouldn't have had if you hadn't gone through it. And it's not just certain knowledge and skills, it'll be also the network and the people that you've met through it all as well. So don't think that you've wasted time doing whatever. Know that it's all, done in accordance with your own soul's journey, and nothing has been wasteful. So if you've got any other questions around that sort of stuff, because I'm keeping this relatively short and kind of like a summary of everything, just feel free to contact me and ask away. I'm more than happy to share information or help as much as I can. The more that you can empower someone and give them confidence to be able to do it, the better. All right. Thanks for listening and watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.